Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. I'm here today with Eve Guzman. Eve Guzman is an internationally acclaimed nutritionist, business coach, public speaker, and People Magazine Half Their Size ambassador. She has lost over 150 pounds through exercise and her macro nutrition philosophy, going from obese to a nationally qualified figure competitor. She is the founder of the G Transformation Academy, which aims to help women ditch fad diets and lose weight without feeling restricted. She also teaches personal trainers and health coaches how to grow their business and maximize their clients' results through her macro mentorship program. She is determined to bring more diversity to this space through her experience with intersectionality through her life. Today, we talked about everything starting with a decision. Eve decided she wanted to be in People magazine after being at the grocery store with her husband and seeing an article where somebody had lost half their weight. And her dream did come true. So we talk about her story and where she lost half of her body weight while eating real food. We also talk about balancing macros and real food eating, sustainable weight loss without the fad diets or extreme restrictions. We talk about how she went from losing half her weight to blogging for People magazine and competing in a figure competition. And then also she became the first female creator of a national macro coaching certificate, and how her background in laboratory science carried over to her approach to nutrition. There's so many gems in today's episode. We talked about reverse dieting, what reverse dieting is, why you should do it, or if you just need to do a refeed or a diet break, and the science behind why we should be not restricting our calories to an extreme, why we shouldn't be doing cardio to an extreme, and just how to have like a balanced approach overall, and what works and what doesn't work in the science of weightlifting, cardio, and nutrition. It was power packed today. I feel like people that want to lose, excuse me, that want to lose weight are going to love this, as well as people that have been like I have, doing competition diets for an eternity. So there's really a lot from every edge of the spectrum. Without further ado, let's dive into this episode with Eve. Hey, everybody. I am so excited to welcome Eve Guzman to the Sisterhood of Sweat today. So like my audience is going to be excited for this interview. I think they're going to eat it up. I know I got excited when I started reading your story in People about how you became half your size. And that just is kind of a eye-catching title. So how in the world did you find yourself in People magazine? And just give everybody the details on your story.
Yeah, it's actually pretty nuts. It's kind of one of those things that you would never expect for it to happen. But I'm definitely an action taker. I believe in abundance, and it finally happened. But it was a personal goal of mine to lose weight and just get to like a comfortable size, an average size. So I started to lose weight right before I had my second child. And the goal was just to kind of get to like 199, below 200, feel normal, feel average, maybe get out of the plus size clothing. But when I started losing weight, I was pretty successful at it. So I was like, well, how about we go a little bit further? How about I lose half my body weight, or at least 100 pounds? And the half my body weight kind of goal or phrase came from seeing the People magazine issues every single, December, January, going to the grocery store, checking out, buying them, keeping them, piling them up on my bookshelf. And one year, and I think it was 2011, I was buying one. I showed my husband one in the grocery store, and I said, I'm going to be in their magazine. I'm going to lose half my body weight if all of these people can do it. And they were losing 100, 300, 200, 125. I'm like, I'm going to be in there. And he was like, okay, whatever. You know how they hear you, but they keep going. I bought the magazine, and I really started plugging away at that goal about 2 years after that. I was still losing weight, but I got super serious. And it's because I opened up an Instagram account. So I opened up the Instagram account to kind of be my accountability journal of photos. And when I made the account in the beginning, it's nothing what my account looks like now. It was like a hot mess express. It was just like posting anything that I was doing, like bowls of my oatmeal, showing how far I ran and how many calories burned on like my Polar watch. I tracked everything I was doing on Instagram. I tagged People Magazine. I used the hashtag half her size. So if you look up that hashtag, I'm dominating it still. And I got to the half my size point in April 2014. And so I had lost 138 pounds, and I'm 5'1". So I was almost 300 pounds. And I got to the half my size point, kind of did a little celebration. I just kept going on with life. And then in September 2014, that same year, they emailed me out of the blue and said, hey, we've been watching you for 9 months. We've watched you lose weight. We've watched you motivating people, supporting people, just showing everything on Instagram, and we want to interview you to see if you'll be in our magazine. And I was like, this is a joke. These people are making it up. There's somebody that's just been following me. And so I Googled the editors, and they were legit. They were real. And then about 5 months later, I found myself in their magazine, and I became one of their ambassadors and went on to do a couple of years of blogging with them when I did figure competitions. But it all started off with just wanting to be in the magazine, seeing it every year in the grocery store.
So you set a goal and you made a decision. And I think that everything starts with a decision. Can you break down what brought you to the decision for everyone?
Oh, yeah. So for me, the turning point was being in a dressing room. And I know most women dread the dressing rooms because the lighting is the mirror kind of dysmorphic. But I was in a dressing room and I was trying on jeans, and the biggest size that they had was a 24, and I couldn't fit anything. So it was I tried on 20 pairs of jeans. They're all scattered on the floor. The only thing I could fit were pull on elastic waist jeans. And so at that time I called those mom jeans, and they're not the mom jeans everybody's buying now. But I was I'm too young. You know what I mean? I'm in my 20s. I'm not going to wear elastic waist jeans. I've got to do something. I was almost 300 pounds and wearing a size 24. And so that was the turning moment for me to decide to really get serious about getting my health and fitness together.
And had you tried many diets in the past?
Oh my God, you name it. You name it, I've done it twice, 3 times. Slim Fast, probably 3-4 times. Progresso Soup diets, Atkins Mediterranean diet, Weight Watchers about 3 times, 1,200 calorie diet, smoothies, liquid diets, MediFast, OptiFast. I mean, I could go on.
Well, I mean, I like for you to do that because it kind of, for anyone out there listening that finds their self in this spot, I think Eve is going to have some solutions for you today. So you went through this all these fad diets to lose weight. So what was the factor in the golden ticket to turn your life around then to lose half your size?
So I realized that, all of those diets, when you break them down, if you can stick to them, you're going to lose weight. They all create a caloric deficit. And so it wasn't the fact that they didn't work. Now, long-term, they aren't the best for your metabolism. I just couldn't stick to them. So the turning point of me losing half my weight was finding something that was sustainable. And so there's tons of women that have been on Weight Watchers, 5-6 years, wasn't sustainable for me. People have done low carb, no carb. It wasn't sustainable for me. Everything I was doing, I could make it about 14 to 21 days, and that was it. So I had to find something that actually worked for me to be able to stick to, where I loved it, I liked it, I didn't feel like I was forced to do it. That's where the weight loss came from.
And I was listening to you because I always like to do my homework on my guests. And you were talking on another podcast about that you couldn't follow somebody else's plan. You had to create your own plan. So walk us through that.
Yeah. So, after I tried on all those clothes and I was like, I got to do something. I mean, I had a realization that I was a pretty smart person. I mean, my background is in science. I'm a research scientist. I have a double bachelor's in molecular biology and medical laboratory science. And I was like, it's all science. Like, why am I following these, programs created by companies that I can't stick to? I should just create my own program. And that's exactly what I did. So I started mapping out, like, calorie wise, what do I need to eat each day to lose weight? I was building my own meal plans. I eventually transitioned from like calorie counting and meal planning to then macro tracking, which gave me like the ultimate freedom of like food selection, freedom with foods, being able to shed a, ton of body fat. Which then eventually led to me really getting into lifting. But I created my own program instead of just following the Slim Fast diet, instead of just following something that was created by somebody else. So I really took it back to science and then food preferences for me. And then, of course, eating things that I should be eating and not just like trying to fit in cookies all the time. But I ended up creating my own program for myself. And when it started off with the calorie counting, my food choices were not as good. I was still going to McDonald's. I was still going to Arby's. I was still getting ice cream, whatever. But once I could really narrow down or really map out how to get some decent choices in those calories per day with the appropriate amount of food versus just slashing it really low and doing these cookie cutter meal plans, I started transitioning from the junk food, the processed food, because I grew up on a lot of that stuff, to incorporating.
As did we all.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like 2 double cheeseburgers and a French fry. That was my go-to every single day.
So that was a lot to break through and really change habits and so many things. And so you started with nutrition and then kept dialing it down. Now, what else did you do to help yourself get in the kind of shape to do a figure contest?
Oh, good question. So in 2013, that's when I started lifting. So when I got really serious about getting into People magazine, the turning point was from me, counting calories, tracking calories, and a buttload of cardio, to then really tapering the cardio down and switching to weight lifting. So by 2015, I think I ended up dropping like another 12% of my body fat in 2 years. And then I was like, you know what if I do a figure competition? I'm into lifting. I love it. I got past that myth of you're going to be bulky, you're going to be manly if you lift weights, all of that garbage. And that's when I really started looking good. I started feeling confident, because before, when it was just nutrition only and all the cardio, I was just a smaller version of the 300-pound me. There wasn't any shape. I wasn't seeing like curves and definition, like tone, like none of that was underneath losing that weight. I had to build it. And so I got so into bodybuilding that I decided in 2015 to start prepping for figure competitions. So I did end up competing from 2016 to late 2017.
Did your husband frame your People magazine article?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It is
The scoffer.
It is framed. I've got all my trophies from my shows. So I definitely keep those around to remind me of all the hard work I did.
I bet he takes you a little more serious now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Definitely.
just having fun with you. So like here you are, you go on this huge journey, and your life is transformed in so many ways. I mean, what is your biggest takeaway from the journey of, I guess, like you've really changed your whole identity?
I'm a whole new person. People, when they meet me, if they haven't talked to me in 15 years, they're like, you're not even the same person. You hold yourself different. Your confidence is different. I talk different. I light up a room. My posture is different. Me losing the weight really changed my life, because it's like I shed that old person and I stepped into the person I always was. I always hid behind the weight when it came to like me excelling in school. It was kind of like, oh, you're in the top 5%, whatever, but I was still hiding, and I didn't want to be in the limelight. The weight kept me from taking roles in management. The weight kept me from, being vocal, just about any and everything in life. But losing the weight, I mean, it opened up so many unbelievable doors for me, my husband, and even our kids.
What do you think you were hiding from?
I didn't want to stand out and have people's eyes on me and judge me because of the weight, because it was always like, oh, she's the pretty girl. She's got a pretty face. She's smart, but she's overweight. It was always like the hashtag, or like the sideline about me. And it was embedded in my brain that I wasn't as good as the next person because of the weight. And so I felt like I was always, trying to be extra, work harder just to be average. And I, wanted to be average, but I didn't want to have to be highlighted because I wasn't comfortable with myself.
Oh, yeah, no, that makes sense to me. Now, you really had to do a major shift then in your mindset. Walk us through what had to change.
Oh my God. It was so much work. It was so much work. Even for my personal journey and for my business, because, this transformation ended up becoming a full-blown business for me. And I had to be confident even in that to be able to help people. But I had to realize that I was good enough. I also had to realize that it was okay if I failed, because a lot of people go on diets and weight loss programs and they don't want to tell everybody. It's like, shh, do it alone, because you don't want people going, oh, you're on another diet. Oh, is Eve going to be able to
judgment?
The judgment. What are you eating? Why are you eating that? Aren't you hungry? I mean, why are you going to the gym? Why can't you hang out? And so I had to have the mindset shift of, I need to do this for me. It's okay to be healthy, because it wasn't normal where I grew up. It was like fried chicken, fried fish, you know what I mean?
Right.
Debbie cake snacks. It was weird. And even my parents were like, you're getting too small. And I'm like, I'm 180 pounds. What do you mean? I'm 5'1" and 180. I can lose some more weight.
It's kind of like about control in a way. People want to control the box they have you in.
Yeah, that's exactly how it felt. So I really had to, really get people out of my mind and be laser focused on what was right for me and what I needed. And once I got to the other side and I was successful, like losing weight, if you can lose that amount of weight, you can do anything. Because after that, I mean, you're completely unstoppable. Like to lose half of a person, I mean, that was really the shift for me, because I was unstoppable after that.
Wow. I imagine so much. Now, did any of your family and friends come along on the journey? Were they supportive, or did you have a lot of naysayers?
Naysayers. Naysayers, and then they pretty much all became my clients. So, you
I
know,
love
that
that.
saying, what do they say? Like, at first they ask you why you're doing it, then it becomes, okay, how did you do that?
Exactly. That's what
So,
I tell my clients. I'm like, those naysayers make them believers.
yeah, absolutely. Like, we had a friend that would just die laughing when he saw me count out the number of potato chips I could have. Because you guys, I mean, you know how easy it is to just get your hand in the bag and get 2, 3 handfuls. But, you know, what is a true serving size? And when he would see me count them out, he was like, you're not going to count those out and just eat those 12, are you? And I'm like, yep. That's why I am where I am, because I would take 3, 4, 5 handfuls. And it's amazing how the tables have turned. And a lot of the people that thought it was weird, they didn't think I would make it. They have a lot of respect for me now. They're my biggest supporters, and they are a lot of our clients.
What do you think is the biggest lesson that you have learned through your journey?
I think for me, I learned if I can control my relationship with food, I can do anything. Your relationship with food, and a lot of people also money, is like the hardest thing to have control with. There's so much temptation. There's so many good restaurants out there. And I mean, they're coming out with things like Lady Gaga Oreos, Java chip Oreos, rainbow, or I mean, there's just so many varieties of so many things. And people comfort themselves with food. When they're mad, they eat. When they're sad, they eat. They celebrate, they eat. We're a society where everything just revolves around food. And if you can get to the point where you can manage your nutrition, not in an obsessive way, but you know, balance, maintenance, and freedom. If you can learn to control your food and find balance, I feel like you can take control over anything in your life.
Give me 3 tips for everyone out there listening to help them control their relationship with food.
Ooh, track your food. that's probably 3 in 1 right there. Everybody asks, like, what should I do? How should I get started? Like, track your food for 2 days. Everything, all the BLTs, the bites, the licks, the tastes. You know, your kids like leftover goldfish graham crackers, the little piece of the protein bar that you tear off, 2 Dove chocolates, 4 tortilla chips while you cook. Whatever's going in your Starbucks coffee that no one really likes to admit that's in there. And they're like, it's just coffee.
Like their creamer.
Yeah. So how many
Lots of creamer.
Track everything and look at how many calories, look at the protein, carbs, and fats, and then go Google total daily energy expenditure, TDEE, and look at how much you're eating compared to what you should be eating. And if you are someone trying to lose weight, look at how many calories you're eating compared to where you maybe need to be in a deficit. And then start to really look, okay, at the times of the day and I'm nibbling, what's going on? What am I thinking about? Am I bored? Am I nervous? Am I just constantly nibbling all day? Am I eating a whole meal at any point where it's like vegetable, carb, meat, or is it just all snacks? But really writing and tracking everything, it is an eye opener. And for me, I was disgusted when I saw the numbers add up. It was my normal food, the normal things I had been eating 5, 10, 15 years. But I was just like, that's why I'm not losing weight. I'm like eating so many hidden calories that have no nutrients in there that it was like a game changer for me to actually see it.
Wow. Yes. I mean, I think it is huge. I track my food daily, and I have not really been into macros per se, but I'm not adverse to it either. So I walk us through the whole macros thing. Now, are you a believer in if it fits your macros, eat it, or do you go more of the perspective of the quality of your food?
So I'm kind of like right in the middle. So I practice like 80-20 flexible dieting. So spending like 80% eating whole, nutrient dense foods that aren't processed. And then 20% of the time, and that's like your week as a whole, of having the fun foods, the processed, the chocolates, you know, going out to eat, whatever, the creamer in your coffee, the sugar pumps, whatever. So I practice macros with flexible dieting where there's like an 80-20 average. Some days I might eat 100% clean, and then there's some weekends I only eat 60% clean. So I try to focus on having that balance because I do not believe in 100% clean eating, because I've seen, you know, historically with our clients and myself, if you cut every single thing out for months and months and months, and you finally get a little piece, sometimes it's hard to reel yourself back in. And having a little something every day of the stuff that you love that most people label as like bad food and like not nutrient dense, it helps you to become more sustainable with your eating, and you don't have these mindset things of, oh my God, I cheated, when you actually have 20% of your calories to work that stuff in. So I eat chocolate every single day. Like it's non-negotiable for me.
Did you eat chocolate all the way up to show?
Yeah. Yep. Even if it was just a piece and it was all I could fit in so I could be full, because, you know, rice versus chocolate, the rice is going to fill you up. The chocolate is just, you know, satisfying your taste buds. But yeah, I ate chocolate all the way up to the show.
And like as far as the whole premise of that, I what I really was intrigued by was how, like, reverse dieting, and I have really been intrigued with that. I know my coach would always have me do, we wouldn't call it reverse dieting. We would just basically do a day where it was like a refeed. Mm-hmm. And so I know that whole science works because after we would do a refeed, then I would lose weight after we did a refeed. And so, like, explain this whole science to everyone of the reverse dieting, the refeed, and why it works.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So there's like 3 different phases of adding in calories strategically, and they're going to be having refeed days, which are usually like 1 or 2 or 3 days, sometimes sprinkled in, sometimes back to back. The second way to increase calories is going on a diet break. That will happen anywhere from 7 to 21 days with higher calories. And a reverse diet is going through an entire phase of strategically raising calories over a period of weeks or months. It's typically going to take most people 2 to 4 months, depending on how long they dieted, to go from a deficit all the way up to true maintenance weight calories, which would be your total daily energy expenditure. So the refeeds, strategy number 1 are to help give your body and your mind, so like a physiological and a psychological break with more food. And when you bring in more food in the way of a refeed or a diet break, you're actually resetting your thyroid hormones. So your thyroid is going to be the driver of your metabolism. It's going to control your fat loss, your weight loss. But when we're in a calorie deficit, our T3 levels and TSH drop, and they're directly tied to the amount of carbohydrates and calories that you eat. And so when you have that refeed day and it feels magical, it's because your thyroid is up regulating, and then it cranks itself back up so that you can go back into losing weight, because it's basically had a vacation for a day or 2 or 3. And now your thyroid is happy and is willing to give up more weight. And that's because our metabolisms are flexible and they down regulate when calories are low for too long. And so if you're like competing, you're on prep, sprinkling in those refeeds are great, because you're like, thank God my coach isn't trying to kill me. I can go out and have a steak. I can have some Oreos. And then you're back on track. And then boom, in a day, 3 days, you see the weight drop. A diet break can be done in the same type of fashion, but it's usually used with people for general weight loss and fat loss because there is no rush to get ready for the stage or a photo shoot. And so we will do diet breaks when we have a longer goal of like 25, 50, 100 pounds, and we'll bring calories right back up to maintenance for 7 to 21 days. Same theory, up regulates the thyroid, but when you have more time at maintenance, your body can snap out of that plateau much better because there's more back-to-back days with more calories. The reverse is to get someone up to maintenance while maintaining their weight loss so that they can actually heal their metabolism to prepare for a future cut. So you would reverse up to maintenance, stay there for 2-3 months, and then go back into a deficit down the road.
Yes, I have a lot of people all over those spectrums, from people that want to lose weight, listeners that have been longtime competitors like I have. And I think one of the dangers of being on a plan per se, a diet per se, however you want to word it, for a long period of time, is you get into that metabolic syndrome where your body does not want to lose weight. It's become resistant to it. And so do you find that when you probably have to completely reverse diet with those individuals?
Yeah. So if someone comes to us and they've been dieting longer than 6 months, they're typically going to need a full reverse diet because it will take us possibly 3 months to get them up to maintenance. Then they need to eat at maintenance for 3 months. So it's almost a 6-month process to be ready again. But some of those clients have to look at it as, okay, I can't go any lower with calories. I'm not going to lose weight anyway. I can actually maintain my weight by reversing, pretty close, plus or minus 5 pounds, but be eating anywhere from 500 to 700 extra calories per day and then maintain that weight. So sometimes you've got to get back up to maintenance for a while for your body to feel safe enough to go back into a deficit successfully.
And this is just like a total mental mind shift, because if you have been competing or dieting nonstop, you're like, you have to get to the point where you realize what you're doing isn't working. So you have to try something else. But like mentally, it's a struggle for people to realize they need to let go of the excessive dieting, the excessive cardio. Like they've got to like let their body release, like giving it food and giving it calories. It won't hold on to everything. Like it's probably trying to hold on to everything when you're not giving it enough.
Exactly. Yeah. And I've went through it myself, like after my shows. I mean, you know how it is when you're stage lean, you're leanest, you look the best. You can't maintain it forever, but you don't necessarily want to leave it behind. I spent 18 months reverse dieting. And when I first started doing it, I didn't want to do it. I was like, I don't look like me. I'm not as lean. Am I going to lose my clients? I mean, I would cry about it. It took me 3 months to get over it. And I was like, I just got to move on. And then, I mean, my business doubled because I was talking about the things mentally that people struggle with. And I was like, hey, I had to reverse diet, put on 10, 15 pounds to be able to cut in the future if need be. And I actually got to the point where I stayed at maintenance for more than a year after that because I didn't even want to diet anymore. So, I mean, I totally flipped the script on myself.
I think people get addicted to that look or that image or that identity. And one of the things that kind of was freeing to me was to realize it's just really all a manipulation. It's a science. Like when I was contest dieting, I would drink up close to show a couple gallons or more per day of water. Yeah. And a gallon of water is 8 pounds. So if I'm putting 2 gallons of water through my body, that's 16 pounds of water in one day that I could go up on the scale until it flushes back out. And so when you start recognizing that weight really what does it consist of, and that it is somewhat of a manipulation, I think it's kind of freeing in a way.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's definitely crazy. Or even kind of on the flip side, when someone sees a weight fluctuation overnight of 2 pounds, and I have to tell my clients, if you didn't eat 7,000 calories yesterday, this is a water shift. This is a water balance change. You didn't gain real weight, it's water. So it can be really amazing what the body can do, but it can be frustrating when you can't manipulate it the way that you want to, because we want what we want, but our bodies want what it needs to.
Oh, that's so good. That's good. That's a tweetable right there. How important is water? Let's talk about that for a moment. I'm catching up on my water as we speak.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I've got all my, I mean, they can't see it, but I've got all my water, my bottles right here. Water is so important. Like some of the big dial movers for people maintaining and losing weight is going to be like being consistent with caloric intake, your fiber and your water and your sleep, because they're all intertwined together. I get a lot of questions of, do I have to drink that much water? How important is it? Especially if you have a higher fiber and a higher protein diet, you need more water to be able to digest and process those nutrients. A lot of people don't understand that if they go higher in protein and fiber, they can become like constipated and not see their real or true scale weight if their water is below what they need. Water also helps to increase your metabolism. When you're drinking water, your body is heating up that water to match the internal temperature. So drinking more water does raise your metabolism at the same rate that you're actually drinking it. But a lot of people don't understand that if their water intake is where it needs to be and it's consistent, they're going to see less fluctuations on the scale and then be able to interpret the data better because their water intake is consistent from day to day to day.
How much do you recommend for people?
So I recommend that people drink their weight divided in half up to 128 ounces per day. So if you're 200 pounds, half your weight in water would be 100 ounces. If you can drink 128 ounces and you don't feel like you're, drowning yourself and you're thirstier, and if you can drink a gallon and a half, like knock yourself out. But most people don't need more than a gallon and a half unless they're doing it for competing purposes. But like just 64 ounces is not really enough. And I know people are like, I don't drink that much. But even just trying to get another, 8 to 16 ounces every week and working up to half your weight is a really good goal.
Right. It takes a while. It's like anything else. It's like a muscle. You have to work it. Mm-hmm. And I think like for me, I tell all of my clients to try to get a gallon in at least per 100 pounds of body weight. So I feel like we're on the same page there. And as far as cardio goes, I really shifted my mentality about that. I really think that doing HIIT training, doing sprints, boot camp type workouts, lifting weight, I just feel like it's more of a game changer overall to your body, because what I found is that when you're doing excessive amounts, like, of cardio, it just breaks your body down and you get kind of like more flabby. What do you think?
Yeah. The old school of thought, it was like longer is better. I used to do 60 minutes. I used to do 75 minutes. I would run 5 miles a day and my body looked flabbier the more that I did it. And so I'm actually in the school of thought of either doing low intensity, steady state stuff, getting your neat stuff, or doing shorter, more intense HIIT. So if it's going to be longer, it needs to be at a lower heart rate. Walking uphill on the treadmill is great, flat road, walking outside and doing that 20, 30 minutes, trying to get 10K steps in per day. But HIIT workouts, if it's more intense, you want it to be faster so that you're not breaking down the muscle that you're wanting to build. because your muscle is going to be your metabolic tissue, and cardio doesn't create metabolic tissue. It's actually breaking down. And so if you're building more muscle, your metabolism is going to be higher.
So it's just really all about fueling your body and working out to win. And you also won in other areas. You won in your business. I was reading where you were scared to death at one point to invest $6,000 to take a business course. I would love to hear that story.
Oh my gosh. So we spent our last to get into this business course. I mean, I was like a lot of coaches. I tried it all. I Googled it. I watched YouTube videos. I felt like I kind of got something, but it's not working. I'm not making any money. I was barely making $1,000 a month. I found a business coach in 2017. I trusted in her, but I was afraid because all we had was $6,000 when we pulled everything together. I paid it all on the spot, and then I turned around in 5 months and turned that into $40K. And then since then, I've been investing, at least $10,000 or more every single year in business coaching. And I really realized, like, to make money, you've definitely got to spend some money. But if you're investing in coaching, you're investing in someone that is like paving the way for your success. They've got a blueprint. Success always leaves clues. And if you're hiring a coach, you're hiring all the experience, all their failures, all their successes, and they make it so much quicker for you to be successful versus figuring it out on your own.
Yeah, good coaches, they bring out the best in you. And I've never known anyone to invest in themselves and then wish they hadn't. And I personally have a coach to be a good coach. And I think, like, just the whole aspect of being around somebody that has been where you want to go, and they're gonna help you get there a little quicker.
Absolutely.
And you have a whole coaching program that you've developed. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, so half of my business is like weight loss and fitness coaching with macros, but the other half is our macro mentorship program. So it is the first macronutrition coaching certification backed by NASM and AFA. So we are an approved provider for them, but it's a 4-month business mentorship where they also learn all about the science of macros and receive a coaching certificate at the end. So we developed that in 2019. Every single round has sold out, thank God. But it's amazing. It's so successful. And we've created hundreds of certified macro coaches since we launched in January 2 years ago.
That is amazing. Amazing. Wow. You've done so much, like just making the one decision that you were going to be in People magazine. And I really have to say, I want to acknowledge you so much for just making your mind up and then becoming, like, not only did you really transform your life, but you became this transformer for all kinds of people out there, coaches, people that want to have the same kind of success that you do. I mean, to me, your whole journey is just beyond amazing.
I know it's sometimes I can't believe it's my life. Like, I have to pinch myself. Like, I'm definitely grateful. But it's really just all about, like, ambition and then hard work and just, like, seeing it all the way through.
Yeah. And just making that choice and making, you set a goal for yourself and then the goals just didn't stop.
Yeah, I think I'm, like, addicted. I think I have a problem.
It's a good problem. It's a good problem, like, sometimes people are like, I think you're addicted to working out, Linda. And I'm like, well, I think that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it could definitely be worse things.
Right. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. Where can everybody reach you on social media?
Sure. Everybody can find me on Instagram because I live on my stories daily at Eve_FitChick.
Perfect. Perfect. Everybody reach out to Eve, and she also has a personalized coaching program for everybody out there as well. And your website again?
It is gtransformationacademy.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks everybody for listening to this episode of the Sisterhood of Sweat.